know what you all are thinking right now. When I was an engineering undergrad, I didn't get to do all this cool stuff. Well, we're breeding a new type of engineer now, which we call courageous engineers. So if you'll indulge me, I'll walk you through how we're breeding this new type of engineer. And this is not something unique to the University of Texas at Austin. A lot of engineering schools are working towards creating engineers that are big thinkers, that can solve problems that we don't even know exist today. And that whatever problem arises 30 years from now, they'll figure it out. And so our approach is by investing in people, places, and pursuits. And I'll also make a parallel of how CII is developing courageous engineers in the capital projects industry by the same type of investment in people, places, and pursuits. So what we mean by people is in academia, universities, we are in the business of developing people. So we create future leaders in our industries, in the various industries that we educate our students in. And we do that by investing in places in which these students will come together and innovate and feel like they can learn from each other and collaborate and push the boundary of their disciplines. And we also make strategic investments in specific areas in which we see potential growth in. So I'll walk you through what we're doing in these 3 initiatives at the University of Texas, and I'll also make parallels to CII. So we're fortunate to be top ranked in many different disciplines, including engineering, business, and computer science. And we are a leading research university in the US. So we're in the top 10 funded universities by the National Science Foundation, by the Department of Defense, and the Department of Energy as well. And we have the largest supercomputer in any university in the world. Currently, we can still claim that. You know, the universities are always fighting to be at that top number, but we're still there. And that's our TAC, our Texas Advanced Computing Center. And by any measure, we are world class. And I'll point out one number here. So in 2019, one of our faculty members who invented the lithium-ion battery, which is ubiquitous here in this room and in your devices, John Goodenough, he received the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for that invention. So we're breeding this courageous engineer. So what's a courageous engineer? These are big thinkers that can come up with ideas and focus on developing and solving impactful problems. And these are in any discipline that impact the real world. These are change makers. They're unafraid to take risks in pursuit of creating change. And they're dedicated to strengthening our communities and improving the lives of future generations. So that's the kind of engineer that we're focusing here in developing. And a lot of our students, and in many universities, they get involved in student organizations, which put them in problems and in groups that they can solve real-world problems, and they can impact communities while they're getting rigorous education. So these are just a few examples: Longhorn Racing, Texas Rocket Engineering Lab, and Humanitarian Engineering, just 3 examples of student organizations and how they have been taking our students and having them have real-world impact while they're getting their undergraduate degree. And we also leverage industry partnerships. So you all here in the room, you've probably went back to your school or have worked with a school that's local to where you're based off of. That is so critical for our students' education, to be able to leverage industry partnerships. Even if you've guest lectured in a class before, I cannot tell you how much students will believe you coming and saying something about the challenges that you have in your projects. I can say it 1,000,000 times, but they're only going to believe it when they hear it from you. So it's so critical to have partnerships in industry. And we have partnerships of all sorts of different ways, including companies that sponsor full-on master's program. Like we're starting a master's in semiconductor science and engineering starting this fall. The first cohort of students are fully funded by our industry partners. So you all are also courageous engineers. And CII has led innovation because you are courageous engineers for the past 40 plus years. We've heard several people talk about today on safety, the innovations in safety. And I really enjoyed hearing Dr. Goodenough talking about all of the evolution of safety excellence in the last few decades of CII. That tells you that CII is a leader in construction safety, and you are the ones that are making that a reality. You're developing that knowledge, and you're pushing the boundary in the capital projects industry. And it's not just with safety, it's also with front-end planning and so many other best practices that CII has created, that you all have created in the past few decades. CII is also pushing the bounds in many best practices. You are the ones that think big and create new practices in the industry that everyone is adopting. So all of these tools that teams are creating and making available to you, they really become reality in your projects. And you're also, CII also leverages, it was created by leveraging this collaboration of SMEs, subject matter experts in industry, with research experts in academia, and that combination leads to this push and innovation in our capital projects industry. So that's the biggest, I think the secret sauce of CII is by bringing these two groups together. And as a faculty member, I've also been involved in CII research. So I've been homegrown here in CII. I've been part of about a dozen CII research teams. And I'll highlight a few that I think were pretty cool and fun to be part of. So one was a virtual reality CII research team. We reported out in 2019, and this was pretty fun. How can we as an industry leverage virtual reality in an effective way in which we actually see measurable benefits? I also participated in this very fun Path to the Future team that was developed out of the technology committee. And we did a little workshop that started in universities. We first had this workshop at the University of Texas at Austin, at Carnegie Mellon, and at Georgia Tech, and then we expanded to CII member companies. We call the workshop Mars Industries. So we put these students in an environment in which they had to build a structure in an environment in Mars in which they didn't have the same resources that we would have on Earth. And the idea was they're unencumbered by their previous professional experience, so they can really think creatively of how to solve these problems. And we replicated this with CII member companies as well. This was super fun. And then just now you heard from the CII decarbonization research team. And I had the pleasure of being part of that team as well. So lots of fun experiences that I've had as a researcher myself as part of CII, and learning and growing and developing this new ideas with you all. So in terms of places, we want to create places in which people come together and innovate. And we're doing that by building state-of-the-art facilities. So this is a current project that we're near completion. This will be done in 2026, and it's called our Engineering Discovery Building. And we've changed how we build our buildings. Traditionally in engineering buildings, you often have a building per discipline, a civil engineering building, a mechanical engineering building, and so forth. We're changing that in our three most recent buildings. They're all interdisciplinary research spaces. So we do that so these disciplines can come together and innovate and push the boundaries of their disciplines. And these are beautiful spaces. This will be the new home of petroleum engineering and chemical engineering, and it'll be the cornerstone of our engineering campus. CII also creates spaces for you to come together and innovate. And the way that CII creates space is not a physical space per se, but we're here together. This is a place that we're coming together in the CII annual conference to share knowledge, to network, to learn from each other, and to share the excitement of everything that we've created and each of the research teams have created. I would say the single most, if you haven't been part of a CII research team, let me advocate that you be part of a CII research team, because that is the single best experience that you could have being engaged in CII, in developing new knowledge that will impact your entire industry and discipline. So these research teams are places that CII creates that you all can come together and innovate as well. And all of the communities of practice that you can get involved in as well are other places that CII creates. And there's so many others. These are just 3 examples. But these are places that CII creates for you all to come together and innovate. In terms of pursuits, there we go. So we make strategic investments at the University of Texas that focus on areas that we see that have potential growth. So last year, we coined it at the university the Year of Artificial Intelligence. And in doing that, we also made investments, significant investments, to push and grow in that area. So one of the investments was we launched the Center for Generative AI, and we bought 600 GPUs, installed them in our supercomputer at the Texas Advanced Computing Center. This meant that we are the largest university in the US in terms of numbers of GPUs. Of course, that's nothing compared to the private sector, but it puts our academic setting in the map, right? And that leads to a lot of new collaborations that didn't exist before in faculty that do generative AI type of work. We also launched a series of AI faculty cluster hires. A lot of these faculty are starting this fall. These searches happened last year. And these are across different departments. Some of these are across colleges. So very collaborative, innovative people that are going to be focused on all sorts of areas, including advanced materials discovery, leveraging AI, and many more. Starting this year and beyond, we decided not to focus on a specific theme, but we're looking at different priority initiatives. So we have 4 priority initiatives that we're going to be focusing on in the coming years. One of them is semiconductor science and engineering, energy engineering, health and well-being, and material science engineering. And I'll talk a little bit about some of these, of how we're making investments in these areas. So I did mention that we're starting this master's program in semiconductor science and engineering. The first cohort is starting this fall. We're building large facilities, clean room facilities, for R&D in semiconductor science and engineering. And this is part of a major research award that the university received through the Texas Institute of Electronics, which is part of the university, to create for heterogeneous integration of advanced packaging. So we're building these 2 facilities as part of this DARPA award. We're also building a large hospital complex in partnership with the MD Anderson Cancer Center. This will create an environment for our students, engineering, natural science students, medical school students, to come together and collaborate in research and to push the boundaries of health and well-being. We're also launching a new institute called the Texas Institute for Therapeutic Neuroengineering, Titan. And that's going to be housed in the Dell Medical School, but we have a lot of faculty in engineering, bioengineering, electrical and computer engineering, as you can see here on the bottom right-hand corner. They're very much involved in doing research in Titan. And finally, Texas Robotics. We have a Texas Robotics Institute that brings faculty from multiple colleges together. And this fall, we're starting our first undergraduate robotics the first undergraduate robotics program in the country. And we're surprised by the number of applicants that we received for this program. So there's definitely an appetite for this kind of program in the country. And students apply right out of high school and they start in that robotics program. And they get involved in hands-on research because we have this state-of-the-art facility called Texas Robotics. And we're making specific investments too that are linked to federal grants. So one of them is funded by the Department of Energy, but we have this big facility, the picture that you see here on the top right-hand corner, that's our Process Science and Technology Center. It's a facility that exists in our Pickle Research Campus. What we're doing is we're electrifying it as part of this DOE grant, and the goal of EPICS is to reduce by 50% emissions related to process heating. And so this EPICS It's a group of several universities. UT is part of EPICS. There are four test beds. The UT test bed, the PSTC, is specifically dedicated to chemical and refining demonstration projects. So we're in the process right now of upgrading, electrifying this facility so we can begin using it as a test bed. We're also making significant investments in hydrogen technology. So as we're part of a large hydrogen hub, multiple universities, multiple companies, and we're looking at demonstrating how we can commercialize hydrogen technology. And if you're part of the Board of Advisors meeting this fall, which it will happen in Austin, you will get a chance to meet and to walk through and to see the first hydrogen at scale test bed, which is in our Pickle Research Campus. So if you think about CII, right, CII also develops people. You are all here because you have gone through professional development. Some of your organizations have specific goals and specific pathways of how your professionals get involved in CII. And so you should leverage CII for your own company's professional development, for your own professional development, and to develop your future leaders in your organizations as well. Like I said, CII creates places, creates spaces that bring you all together to innovate, to create new knowledge, to push the bounds of our industries. And we make strategic investments. One of them is the decarbonization project. Well, safety excellence. We knew that we needed to rethink or refresh safety, and that's what RT412 just did and presented this morning. So there are strategic investments that CII makes in research initiatives that are needed by the industry, that you all see the need for. And those decisions are made and invested in with your help and your contributions. So you are all courageous engineers. And I just ask that you also get involved with possibly your alma maters, your local universities, and your future leaders in your organizations to help them through this professional development journey by getting involved with so many different options that CII can provide and creating these initiatives and building more and more courageous engineers in our industry. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.